ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, alcoholics of all ages, people of all ages. Welcome to Canadian Sober, eh? I'm your host and resident alcoholic, Dougie Fresh. Let's get the show started. Today's guest is none other than my brother-in-law, Jamie. So glad you're here with us, Jamie, today.
Thanks, Doug.
You know, you've been a huge support in my life, and to let the viewers out there know, Jamie is not an alcoholic. He's what we call a normie. You know, he can take a sip of a beer and leave it. He doesn't need to polish it off or finish another 18 like I do. You know, so thanks for being on the show today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I love having you here. So one of the things we're going to be talking about today is Rotary. But before you get into that, I'd like the audience to know who's James Saunders. Tell them who James Saunders is.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Doug. Yeah, I think the best way to answer that is I'm a lifelong resident of Collingwood. My kids will be 7 generations in Collingwood, so our family's been here for a long time. I'm the CEO of Direct Sales and the publisher and co-owner of Saunders Book Company and Beach Street Books and all of our associated divisions. I am the president of the Ontario Book Publishers Organization at the moment too. So we have 41 different publishers, independent publishers we represent in Ontario. So we do a lot of work with that too. I'm a Rotarian. I'm currently the youth director for our district, District 7010, which stretches from northern Quebec all the way down to Minnesville, basically, and across to Collingwood, so that's a big job as well. So I do all those things. On top of all that, I am a husband. My wife Lisa teaches at or is the principal, I guess, at Clearview Meadows and in Stayner. And I have 3 daughters. I have Abby, who's 22, and she works for me and lives in Toronto currently. She does our publishing coordination. Olivia, who's going to Humber Lakeshore for Art Foundations program at the moment, and she's 19. And then Ava, who's 14, and she goes to Collingwood Collegiate in grade 9, and she's a go-getter. She's involved in so many different things, much like the rest of her family, I guess, too. So those things are all very important to me. You know, I like to participate in lots of different stuff in the town and around the town stuff too. And always been a tennis player, a skier, and taken up pickleball thanks to my parents lately. Over at the United Church off and on, so that's been fun as well. And yeah, and then you guys, yeah, you're my brother-in-law and my sister-in-law Janet and Wayne and Betty and my parents Dave and Brenda. Everybody's in the Collingwood area, so it's a lot of family stuff that we get involved in. So I guess with Rotary, with the Rotary side, so it's kind of separate, the Rotary and the business kind of go together. So as a Rotarian, we're encouraged to apply what's called the 4-way test to all of our Rotary, all of our projects in life and in business as well. And it's about creating better friendships and goodwill and seeking out the truth and working to do that. So that's a big part of what I do, both within Rotary and within the business as well. And in the business side, we have 80 employees at Saunders Book Company. We have companies, we work both in the United States in a company that we own called Red Brick Resources, and then in Canada we have Saunders Book Company, and about 7 years ago we launched Beach Street Books, which is a publishing company as well. So my kids, I said, get involved too. Abby likes to be Abby's the publishing coordinator at the moment. She graduated from journalism last year at Toronto Metropolitan University. And Olivia writes for us as well. She is autistic, and so she wrote a book just recently called I Am Autistic. And it's already had a couple great reviews. We're really happy with it, and it's part of a whole series on identity and how people identify. Everything we do is for kindergarten to grade 12, so it's all about education and kids, so we're well versed in that and work a lot alongside with ministries of education in all the provinces, as well as in the U.S. too. So yeah, so that's kind of the business side. On the Rotary side, you know, things are quite busy there too. Like I said, district director for youth. It's called New Generations, basically, across our district. Our district has 44 clubs all across central Ontario and northern Quebec. So we are a bilingual district too, which is challenging at times. But we have in those clubs, we have youth clubs as well. We have what's called Rotaract. So those are for young professionals starting out, and 18 to 30 or so. And then we have Interact clubs as well, which are for the youth, which are basically about ages, more high school, 13, 14 to 18 years old. And we have a very active Collingwood Interact club here as well. And I guess just a bigger, sort of the bigger picture with Rotary too, is that Rotary, for people that don't know, is a organization of 1.2 million people around the world. We're in 180 countries.
Wow.
Yeah, we were original signatories to the United Nations Charter. So we're an NGO that participates with the United Nations and all the different organizations that the United Nations deal with. A lot of people will know, locally we have several clubs. We have my club, which is the Rotary Club of Collingwood, which I'm a past president of. We have Rotary Club of Collingwood, South Georgian Bay, which my club meets Tuesdays at noon at the Rotary Centre and 199 Campbell Street in Collingwood. And the Rotary Club of South Georgian Bay meets Thursday mornings at the same place. And our Interact Club ranges from about 15 to 20 kids, and they generally meet on Thursday after school at the Rotary Centre too. Wasaga Beach has a Rotary Club, Thornbury has a Rotary Club as well, and they're all made up of local people. It used to be like professionals and business people, and we are that, but we have all kinds of people from all different walks of life in Rotary, which is great. Gives a real sort of diverse perspective. Most people might know Rotary from a couple main projects would be like youth exchange. So we always have exchange students in our district. I think we have 14 this year, exchange students. So we have a student come and live with one of the Rotary clubs and with host families for a year. And then we have an outbound exchange student that Rotary club selects along with the district, and then they send out to another country. We get a lot of European countries and sometimes South American countries too, and the kids get to be immersed in the culture, learn the language, everything for a whole year. So it's quite intensive, but it's great. It's sort of part of our peace building program to connect people around the world.
Right.
And then the other big part of Rotary is our involvement in health, and we have 7 major areas of focus, and health always comes to the forefront, I think, for Rotary. And one of the biggest things in the health portfolio over the years has been the eradication of polio. So it was a project that Rotary took on in the 80s, and now we're partnered with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. We're partnered with many countries around the world, including the Government of Canada, the United Nations, and the WHO, and we participate in the polio roundtable that dictates sort of where vaccines go. We're down to, the pandemic kind of set us back a little bit. We were down to like about 7 wild cases of polio in the world, and now we're getting, we kind of ballooned up after the pandemic because some vaccinations didn't get done in some countries like Afghanistan. And now we're back getting down to the 5 or 6 or 7 cases.
So what you're saying is Rotary is involved in everything.
A lot of things.
So what are some of the things locally right now that Rotary's doing? Like I know you guys do like lunches, you do some fundraising, you get kids involved. Like what are some of the things that you're working on right now? Yeah,
our club does several different fundraisers. The one at the moment that we're most that we're working primarily on is our lunch bag project. So 4 times a year we have a chef as our past president in Rotary.
Yummy.
Yeah, so Tim leads a crew that makes the lunches. We have the lunches picked up, and we do it about 4 times a year. It's all advertised online. People sign up for the lunches, and all the proceeds from the lunch, and we have sponsors for the lunches as well. So that's been great, great little fundraiser for us. That money goes back into things like our youth programs, and then back in the community in different ways. We just had a presentation a week ago at Rotary, I guess it was, at our meeting, and it was from 3 different organizations looking for funding for different projects. So we entertain that and go through that. So we get involved in a lot of different things. But our club's project, our biggest project probably over the past 10 years, has been our legacy project, which is the Rotary Hub at 199 Campbell Street. So that was a former property of our company, of Saunders Book Company, and like the Common Roof took it over. So the Common Roof is a charitable organization that has locations in Barrie, Aurelia, and Collingwood. Collingwood's the smaller location. We're 7,000 square feet, but the Barrie location's 100,000 square feet. And we house social service agencies and not-for-profits that are dedicated more to mental health and the health side of student or people, adults, students, and everything. So we're very connected in that space.
So, like, I've known you for a long time now, probably like almost 25 years, I would think. Now this guy's seen me at my worst. This guy has seen me at worst. You know, a lot of bad memories I would love to erase if I could. You know, and I know that you are so involved in the community. You do so much within the community. I know you love it. You love to be a part of. Why Rotary?
That's a good question. So when I joined Rotary, you know, I think it was at a point in my life, it was about 13 years ago, and I was looking for something else, you know, as well as work and sports and kids and stuff like that. I've always liked being involved in a number of different issues. So I'm a doer, you know, and I think our whole family, my family, are doers, and we like to get involved, and it's kind of, we take our energy from that too. So I think Rotary appealed to me because they were, first thing, I knew a number of the people that were there. My uncle was a member, John Saunders was a member at one point in time as well. So he said, why don't you check out Rotary? So a couple of my friends had come to Rotary, did a few meetings. I'm like, yeah, this is a good fit for me. I liked the projects they were doing. I liked how they were involved in both international and local spaces too. So yeah, it was a good fit. And the social side too. I mean, we have lunch. And we eat lunch. Like, what can be better than that?
I like lunch.
At that time, it was every week. Now we're 2 times a month. We have 2 Tuesdays a month that we meet, and we have lunch, and then there might be committee work beyond that. But yeah, it's just a fantastic organization that's is involved around the world. I've had the opportunity to go to 2 international conferences when I was president. A lot of people got to go to Korea, and this year's conference is in Singapore. My 2 years were in Atlanta and Toronto, 2 cities I know well from work and life, of course. But for me, that gave me other opportunities because I got to get involved sort of on the leadership side with the conferences and help out. So yeah. Yeah,
that's good. So for the viewers at home, you know, this is a show based on mental health and addiction. You know, and mental health is a serious issue right now. Lots of people are struggling with it. You guys, with the Rotary, you do so much to get the youth involved. How important is it to get the youth involved today?
Oh, it's extremely important. You know, I mean, getting them involved and sort of working with them on what their purpose and what they want to do, and what their causes are and what they want to be involved with, you know, helps their mental health as well. I think we saw an interesting thing through the pandemic. You know, clubs were, I realized we were closed. Some clubs made the switch to virtual really well, and some didn't as well. But the ones that made the switch to virtual the best were really our interact clubs, the kids that were, you know, 13 to 18 kind of age. And they went online, and they're doing like games together and socializing, and once a week, they met once a week, Sunday evenings, I believe it was, and it was all online. They made a nice transition to it. So when they came back, they just carried that transition right in person, and so we found with our group, we had a very diverse group of of youth in our Interact Club, and the mental health side was very important because they got the connection, like it was the social connection of an extremely diverse group of kids, and yeah, and they're all friends today. My daughter Abby was the first president of our Interact Club, and she still works on Rotary projects with the next president. Izzy Houston, and so yeah, they're working on a little youth thing right now for our district.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I'm, I'm not afraid to say it. Like, I love you. Like, you've taught me so much about how to be normal without drinking or drugging. You're so involved with the community, and one of the things that I've been really proud to share lately is your daughter Olivia just wrote a book on autism.
Yeah.
How fantastic is that?
Yeah, it's great. It's a whole series. She came up with this idea for I Am. The series is called. There's 6 different books in the series. And we're adding 3 more actually for next season, for next year, for fall actually, they'll come out. And they're all on how people identify. So we have books on I am Sikh, I am Muslim, I am, and then I am autistic, I am blind. We have one coming out on OCD by a known Canadian author, which is great too. And but yeah, so Olivia and her sister Ava basically came up with this idea for this series, and she wanted to write a book, and which was fantastic for her. And it's been a great process, and nice to kind of see her, sort of be happy with it and the success. And yeah, and it adds to the knowledge base, I think, out there too of how kids identify.
I think she's extremely brave. For me as an alcoholic, it took a few years to be comfortable with saying I'm an alcoholic,
right,
and this is who I am. She's 19 and she's like, I'm autistic.
Yeah.
And she has a book out there. I was sharing it with like so many people. I'm just so proud of her that she's that brave.
Yeah.
But I'm also proud of your other 2 daughters, right? So when it comes to youth and mental health, and I know like you just touched on Rotary doing so much, with mental health, but when it comes to your own family, right? Do you try to do things within your own family to make sure mental health is like okay? Are you making sure your own mental health is okay?
Yeah, I mean, as a business owner,
but as a dad,
yeah, it's sometimes everything gets meshed up together, right? And that's where it gets difficult. It's so many different thoughts and so many different things going on at the same time. So for me, I try and make sure that I compartmentalize and try and deal with things as they one at a time. I'll say, okay, this is the time I'm going to work on this. It's kind of the block principle, and this is the time I'm going to go work on this, and that includes family time too, which we've always prioritized in our family. As we're big on our family time with the kids, whether it's at the family cottage or whether it's traveling or whatever. We always make sure we make time for that, and that's their time. So I think that helps. I think that helps everybody's mental health, and I hope it kind of leads by example for the kids too, and make sure that they have their time. And I know Abby's living in Toronto in a house with 5 other girls, and so that creates some conflict too sometimes. But they have a good time, and we've sort of adopted them as daughters too a bit too. So then they work into the process, and Abby makes sure since she works remotely, she works away and then has her time to go do her thing, and we're big on that. So yeah.
So when you found out, I had an issue, when I had an issue with alcoholism, did that change the way you looked at me, or did that change the way maybe you looked at addicts in general?
I don't think it really changed the way we looked at you or addicts. I think we knew before you did.
I think everybody knew before I did.
And I think it's very difficult for the families to kind of embrace that and lead because of people you're close with, you or whoever it is. You often want to kind of rebel against that and say no, so we were kind of happy when you came to the realization and went down that road. So no, for us it was more, yes, he's getting help. He's into it, something that works for you, and you're able to take that and run with it and do all kinds of great things like this and the podcast and everything else. So we're extremely proud of you.
Yeah, I think there's 2 memories of us that it's ingrained in my brain. One is the worst thing was I was on vacation with this gentleman in Florida, it was the longest plane ride home that I can ever remember.
Right.
And I probably went about 48 hours without eating anything because I was just so intoxicated. And then one of the best memories I always remember was the first Christmas that we celebrated, and I was sober.
Right.
And nobody in our family, I sat at the table, and you guys did not drink.
Right.
Right.
Yes,
and then the next year they were like, Doug, do you think maybe we could have a beer? And I was like, of course.
That's very true.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
do what you want to do. But I really appreciate the love and the support, that you guys have, given me throughout the years. The stigma around, I think there's still a huge stigma around alcoholics and drug addicts.
Yeah.
And I think when it comes to Rotary, I read an article a little while ago about a gentleman named Felix from Nigeria, and Felix said, that there's a stigma around mental health. So he also said that Rotary is going to, I'm paraphrasing, but diminish the stigma around mental health.
Yeah.
Do you think you guys can do that?
Yeah.
You do, because I look at it the alcoholic side, and there's still a huge stigma, and there's so many people out there that are recovering from this and trying to put this out there and say, look, I'm an alcoholic. I'm not living under a bridge with a brown paper bag. I have a great job. I have a family. I have this. I have that. So why is it different than for addicts than it is for mental health, you think?
Why is it different for addicts? I don't know that it is that different. I think that the stigma is there, and the stigma, what we kind of see in the Rotary world is, because we're global, is that the stigma is different in every country, right? So, we might be making grounds. I would say we're making grounds in North America and certainly in Canada, but I think around the world it's not always that case. So I think we need to erase the stigma around mental health and addiction everywhere, and it's what our Rotary International President is. His name's Gordon McAnally, and he's from Scotland this year, and it changes every year, but it goes till the end of June. So he charged with all Rotarians this year to work on mental health, and there were a couple different points, but one of the main points was erasing the stigma. So I think by talking about it, by embracing it, our clubs are encouraged to create projects around mental health, which is something that's been very big for our club over the last 10 years with the Rotary Centre and housing agencies like New Path and Catalpa and Community Connection 211 as well. We're all about connecting people with services for mental health. So we talk about it not just in our meetings to ourselves, but we talk about it in our daily lives all the time. And so I think for us, it's a lot of spreading the word in order to erase the stigma around both addiction and mental health. And I hope I think we can make some inroads into it. We're a powerful global organization that has a lot of diverse membership. So I think, and many of them are alcoholics as well. So, and addicts of different forms. And I think working together, we can certainly gain some ground.
Right. Now, I'm interested to know, as being born and raised here, do you think? Well, obviously, it's not a surprise. Mental health and addiction is kind of skyrocketing lately. Do you think the town of Collingwood, not on a Rotary side, but do you think the town of Collingwood could do more, or are they doing more?
That's a good question. I haven't really been involved with the town on this issue as much lately, because I've sort of been focused more on our district side and what we're doing overall in sort of Central Ontario. But I think for all of us, and me included, we can always be doing more. So there's definitely things that could be accomplished and done and work together, I think, to do that. I think we've made great inroads, but so far a lot of it is fairly not, well, I guess superficial, and flag raising and awareness and stuff like that. And yeah, there needs to be some dollars and some support for housing and a number of sort of base level things. I mean, it comes right back to to security and having a place to live, and then building on that. So I think there's certainly room for the town and us as local citizens to work on it, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the town could, obviously, like you said, everybody could do more, right?
Yeah, I'll do more.
We could always do more. You know, but with what's going on lately, it's, you know, again, skyrocketing. You know, I've seen a lot more like homelessness, you know, in other cities, you know, a lot more addiction. People are dying left, right, and center from stuff, you know. You know, so we could always do more. One question I want to ask you before we jump off is, you know, why do you think, you know, in the article I read, it said that Rotary's membership like quadrupled like after COVID. You know, so did COVID, like for you, did COVID have an effect on your mental health?
Oh yeah, I would say I would definitely say it had an effect on my mental health. It was you know, a negative effect for us. We, you know, our Rotary Club went online, and we struggled with that for a little bit, but we still had connection, which was great. I think in our workspace, we were shut down like everybody else. We basically had one of us in the office at all times, and in a 30,000 square foot building, that's not a lot of space. And I think the last piece is like at home. You know, we were all there together. Barely even saw you guys drop stuff off at the door and stuff. But we did a good job of that as a family. Lisa, my wife's very good at that, as you know, and keeping us busy and active and creating Disney days for the kids and meals to deliver next door and trivia with their neighbors online. And so we worked on it, but I think it was a struggle for sure.
Yeah. I really liked it because it was like Saunders, like Urban Eats, like Uber Eats, you know. So thanks, Jamie, for being on the show today. Again, I love you. Thanks for talking about Rotary and mental health with me today. And thanks again. We'll get you on here another time.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Right.
My pleasure.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us today. Wherever you are, peace and love. And if you're struggling with mental health or you're struggling with addiction, please don't hesitate to reach out. Instagram is Doug Matthews 4, and Facebook it's Doug Matthews. So we'll catch you guys next week for another great episode on Canadian Silver A. Have fun, everybody.